RT presses the US State Department for proof of claims Russia's been targeting hospitals in Syria, but the response was far from expected.
I'm sorry, but I'm not going to put Russia Today on the same level with the rest of you who are representing independent media outlets.
Hold on. She's a journalist, just like the rest of us are, so it's, you know, she's asking pointed questions, but they're not, you know.
From a state-owned outlet.
But they're not.
From a state-owned outlet.
The questions that she's asking are not out of line.
Barack Obama's in Berlin to bid goodbye to his, quote, closest international partner, Angela Merkel, as a part of his farewell European tour. The so-called Snooper's Charter is given the green light in the UK, effectively allowing the security services to spy on citizens. Your source for worldwide news headlines 24 hours a day. It's RT International. Thanks for joining us. The US State Department says RT will no longer be treated on a par with other news outlets. It comes after we repeatedly asked for evidence to back up the department's allegations that Russia's hit numerous hospitals and airstrikes in Syria. It also claims Moscow's blocked humanitarian aid from reaching conflict zones. Our Washington correspondent Gayane Chichikan gave us her first-hand account of that briefing.
It took some pressing and effort to get specifics. As you know, State Department's John Kirby has accused Russia of hitting 5 hospitals in Syria within the past few days. When asked by another journalist in which cities, Mr. Kirby did not seem to know or think it was necessary to share such specifics. I followed up on my colleague's question. Here.
Don't you think it is important to give a specific list of hospitals that you're accusing Russia of hitting? Those are grave accusations.
I'm not making those accusations. I'm telling you we've seen reports from credible aid organizations that 5 hospitals and a clinic, at least one
in
clinic.
What cities, at least?
You can go look at the information that many of the Syrian relief agencies are putting out there publicly. We're getting our information from them too. These reports.
But you're citing those reports without giving any specifics.
Because we believe these agencies are credible, and because we have other sources of information that back up what we're seeing from some of these reports. And you know what? Why don't you ask? Here's a good question. Why don't you ask your defense ministry what they're doing
and see if you can get?
No.
If you give a specific list of hospitals, my colleagues who are listening hopefully would be able to go and ask Russian officials about a specific list of hospitals that
you work for Russia Today, right? Isn't that your agency?
Correct.
And so, why shouldn't you ask your government the same kinds of questions that you're standing here asking me? Ask them about their military activities. Get them to tell you what, or to deny what they're doing.
When I ask for specifics, it seems your response is, why are you here? Well, you are leveling that accusation.
No,
and if you give specifics, my colleagues would be able to ask Russian officials.
Once again, you're just wrong. I'm not leveling those accusations. Relief agencies that we find credible are leveling those accusations.
Furthermore, Mr. Kirby made it clear, had the questions come from somebody else, another journalist, somebody not working for RT, he would have answered differently.
Be careful about saying your defense minister and things like that. I mean, she's a journalist, just like the rest of us are, so it's, you know, she's asking pointed questions, but they're not, you know.
From a state-owned outlet.
But they're not.
From a state-owned outlet that's not independent.
The questions that she's asking are not out of line.
I didn't say the questions were out of line.
Okay.
I didn't say the questions were out of line.
Okay.
But I'm not.
Oh no, I understand.
I'm sorry, but I'm not going to put Russia Today on the same level with the rest of you who are representing independent media outlets.
Hold on, but look, there. Well, we can talk about this later offline. But just, you know, the question is not an inappropriate question to ask.
Didn't say that it was, but I also think it should be asked of their own defense ministry.
Okay.
Which they don't do, which Russia Today doesn't do.
As I was walking out of the briefing room, an official from the State Department's press relations office caught up with me, said, "I'm sorry about that," and asked for my email to send the list of hospitals. I received that list. It mentions 5 hospitals reportedly hit by airstrikes. Among them, 3 hospitals in Atareb, in western rural Aleppo, and 2 others in Syria's Idlib province, in the towns of Benish and Marat an-Numan. The State Department official cited the World Health Organization as the source. Upon receiving the email, we saw a press release put out by the WHO this Wednesday saying 5 hospitals were attacked. The statement does not attribute blame. We cannot independently verify the reports at this time. I know my colleagues at RT in Moscow are planning to ask the Russian Foreign Ministry about these specific accusations this Thursday.
The Russian embassy in the U.S. has reacted to the incident at the briefing. It said such behavior from the Washington official only shows the State Department has no evidence to prove its allegations. Earlier, we heard from 2 former U.S. diplomats. Here's what they had to say.
Watching Admiral Kirby performance and behavior, shameful, reprehensible, despicable. I mean, he really is an embarrassment to be in the position that he is and to have conducted himself that way. It is so unprofessional, and it borders on incompetence.
I thought it was interesting he faulted RT for being state-supported and then immediately turned to, now let's hear from the BBC. I guess there is very much a double standard. On the substance of Aleppo, here we have a Russian-supported Syrian offensive against al-Qaeda in Aleppo, which is strikingly similar to what is going on with the U.S. support for the Iraqi offensive against ISIS in Mosul. There's all sorts of understanding. In the case of Mosul, you have an offensive against a populated area held by a vicious terrorist group. No understanding of that situation when it comes to Aleppo, just unsupported accusations and not even identifying the sources of the accusation. It's hard to believe that this is being done in good faith.
Well, Moscow says it's wiped out a large group of al-Nusra militants in the province of Idlib. According to the Defense Ministry, 30 terrorists were killed, including 3 commanders from the al-Qaeda affiliate. They were hit by strikes launched from the aircraft carrier, the Admiral Kuznetsov. On Tuesday, the flagship of the Russian fleet took part in large-scale combat operations for the first time in its history. It's helping to target terrorists in the provinces of Idlib, Here, and Homs as well. But this offensive does not affect Moscow's continuing ceasefire over Aleppo, where al-Nusra militants still control large parts of that area. Now, there have been no strikes on Aleppo by Russian air forces for exactly 1 month now. However, the city has been engulfed in violence, with rebels unleashing a series of what the UN's branded indiscriminate attacks on civilians. And with no day going by without the interruption of gunfire or explosions, many children living in Aleppo have been robbed of their childhoods. But now a special shelter's been set up to offer relief from the horrors of war and allow kids to simply be kids. Murat Gazdiev reports.
This is not a common sight in Aleppo, singing and dancing in a dark alleyway at night. This is Aleppo war therapy.
So this is all well and good, really fun, dancing, singing, coloring things in. But ultimately, you might ask, what's the point?
Because of the bombing and everything is happening in Aleppo, at least when they come here, they feel safe. And they enjoy their time in these 2 hours. This is the point, and when we see the smile of the children on their faces, we feel so alive.
For these children, gunfire and blasts are part of daily life. Some of them haven't lived a day without an explosion within hearing distance. And many of them have been psychologically scarred. These children have been deprived of a normal childhood, and for a few hours a day, this center provides some much-needed respite from the terror of war. It's all organized by a Christian Orthodox charity in Aleppo with the help of churches from around the world. Every day, hundreds come to the church for help, Aleppo's most desperate.
أولادي كلهم هنيك وعندي بنت عاطزة تركتها جاي وما في طريق أروح لهنيك ادعوا لي أروح لهنيك.
And it's open to all, not just Christians.
جاي مشان معونة يعني لأولادي. عندي طفل عمره 6 أشهر وابني كمان هذا الثاني عمره 4 سنين. لا نحن كلياتنا أخوة وأهل إن شاء الله. الله يسلمك. الله يسلمك. 100 سنة.
Nobody is turned away, whether it's diapers, medicine, free laundry, or even jobs. The charity has helped more than 250,000 people over the last year.
Unfortunately, doing good deeds doesn't make you immune to the civil war. These 2 church buses were shredded by a rebel shell, and that's unfortunate for 3 reasons. Sanctions, the civil war, and scarcity make them all but irreplaceable.
The problem is mostly political. Western sanctions target more than Assad. They prohibit all trade and almost all interaction with Syria.
العقوبات ساهمت بعدم قدرتنا على ترميمها لهذه المعامل، بعدم القدرة على جيب أي مادة أولية من الخارج، ساهمت
What can be made in Syria is made in Syria. What can be smuggled in is smuggled in. And whoever they can help, they help. Morad Gazdiev, RT, in Aleppo.